Hello. Welcome. Happy Friday, or whenever you're watching this. I am Peter Vaughan from Cardboard Alchemy. It is another one of our behind the scenes look at a game publisher to look at all the games we make, to talk about games. Of course, we like to talk about games and to say hello to our community, to play a game on stream. We're going to play a little Letter Tycoon today and pick that game back up and announce some winners for Letter Tycoon as well. So we've got lots of fun things to do. Welcome, everybody. Sorry about the technical difficulties about starting late. We're at the mercy of sometimes the technology. I might be glitchy today because we had to download new software to get things to work, but it works, I think. If you can hear me, say hello. I see somebody in the audience. So, hey, it's working. I've also got Rosie. See, I'm glitching. I can see the, I think I can see the frames bouncing, but we're just going to go through with this. It's going to be like the Matrix. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Rosie is here as well, and Rosie will be putting up some comments on the screen and also can jump in if there's anything as far as chatting with everybody.
Hello.
Hello. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a couple of different things. We're going to we're going to recover from the tech difficulties, and we're going to have I'm going to talk about some convention related things and some other announcements for Cardboard Alchemy. And then we're going to, there's a little bit of show and tell for Andromeda's Edge. And then we're going to play a match of Letter Tycoon. And then we're going to go into your questions. If you have anything you want to know about Flamecraft, Critter Kitchen. Critter Kitchen's Pledge Manager just opened up. We have Andromeda's Edge coming. And we also have Mission Catastrophe. If you want to ask about any part of board game making, that's what we're here for. And also, we want to talk about what games you want to play. So I've played some games recently. That's going to be part of my convention report. And I want to tell you about those. But then I want to hear what you're playing and what you're interested in playing this weekend. So, Andromeda's Edge. Look at this shouting out for Andromeda's Edge. I love it. I love it. Definitely, we have some things to talk about with Andromeda's Edge. So, but first, I want to talk about conventions. So one of the things that Cardboard Alchemy it does, is tries to figure out which conventions we're going to, but we are not a convention-based company, which makes it a little bit tricky, right? Because we don't go to as many conventions. We're mostly a crowdfunding-based company, so we got to pick and choose the conventions we go to. So we're looking at some conventions later in the year, and we're going to announce those soon, but we haven't locked in everywhere we're going to be. But in addition to that, some of our team likes to go to conventions anyway, regardless of whether or not Cardboard Alchemy is going there, just because we love games that much. And so I just went to Tantrum Con. And so Tantrum Con is it's out of North Carolina by Tantrum House, a content creator that actually covers a lot of crowdfunding games. So they have covered our games in the past. They actually covered Critter Kitchen and joined us at Potion Con, and I've worked with them plenty of times. And they run a convention of about 1,000 people, and it's been going for I believe 7 years, they told me. And so it's getting, it's building and building. And I saw tons of industry people there. I saw tons of activity there. It was really well run. They do an amazing sort of mix of everything. They do have a show floor, which can have a couple of vendors. I saw retail stores there. I saw publishers there. They also have an open play area, which is really robust and good. They also have a lot of special events. They had a comedy show with Grant Lyon. They had Blood on the Clock Tower run at night. They had these Turnameals, which I was really excited about. These things where you get lunch or breakfast and a game. They feed you first, and then you play a game that is easy to learn and can play up to 6 people. So I played in one Between Two Cities, which is a game I already knew and loved. And so I went and I got fed, and there were prizes, and I met a new table of people. None of them had played, or only one of them had played. So I got to do something that I love, which is teach someone a game. And I had a fun time. It was a very close game of Between Two Cities. If you've never played that one, it's up to 7 players, and you're literally building a city on your left, and you're building a city on your right. And you're working together with your neighbors to do that. And your score is the city that you do the worst at. So you want to make both cities really great. So, and there's a variant, by the way, that you can actually tank both cities. But anyway, this one is you're trying to make both cities great. So I was working with 2 different people, and I will tell you that on both of my cities, I've never had this happen. I got a score of 77 on both cities. So I worked really hard, and then my neighbor got one city that was 78 and one city that was the neighbor to me, so 77. So his score was 77 also. So we both got 77, but I think the tiebreaker was whoever had the better other city. So just so close. Between 2 cities is great. And I loved having it in the format of we got to eat first and kind of chat and meet the people. I think it's a great idea. I hope more conventions do that. So while I was at Tantrum Con, I didn't have any official business per se. I did, however, I was talking to the fine folks that host Tantrum Con, and they said, "Why don't you run some Critter Kitchen?" So I did. Alex Cutler lives close to North Carolina, and so Alex joined me at Tantrum Con and joined me for one of the games of Critter Kitchen. He was also running his own games, one of which I want to talk about. It's an amazing game that it's an insta back for me when we get there. But anyway, I ran Critter Kitchen. What else did I do there? I played prototypes from Alex. I played Blood on the Clock Tower, which was my first time playing Blood on the Clock Tower, and it was fun, super fun. I can't wait to run that in our Discord on Cardboard Alchemy. So I'm building up to the point where I can run it for everybody on our Cardboard Alchemy Discord. So if you want to play Blood on the Clock Tower, make sure you ping me on our Discord and let me know so that I can start to build up our group that will want to play that game. I was on the side of good. So I was dealt the role of empath, which allows me to figure out if one of my 2 neighbors or if either of my 2 neighbors are evil. Okay. So I got a reading of 1. So I knew one of my neighbors was evil. So of course, first day, I didn't talk to either of those 2 people because I don't know what the heck was going on, right? So we could talk to other people. I found out because I was on the good team, so I was just looking for more good team, and I tried to stay away from any kind of sus. Any kind of people that looked like they were whispering or whatever. I went to a group and I tried to figure out who I could trust. It took me a little while to find someone because I didn't know anyone, so it was a little bit hard to figure out who to trust. But eventually, this is what happens in Blood on the Clock Tower. Eventually, someone died, and the good thing about Blood on the Clock Tower is if you die, you're not out. You can still vote. We can vote once, but you can still talk to people and try and puzzle out the mystery. In fact, the people who die are probably more pivotal to finding out what happened. So when someone dies, you can pretty much assume, not entirely 100%, but you can pretty much assume they're good, right? The demon wants to take out the good players. So when someone died, I knew I could go tell them the information I had. Meanwhile, the person sitting to my left was Will, who's one of the members who runs Tantrum Con. And I know Will. He's the only person there that I knew, and he could have been evil, so I didn't talk to Will. But I started to figure out that he was one of the evil ones. I started to get that information. There was a really interesting thing about Blood on the Clock Tower is that it's not one person's information. It's the triangulation of many people's information that starts to give you the clues. So my other neighbor claimed that he was the chef, and the chef gets to know if there's any pairs of people sitting around the circle that are evil. So he said there was one pair of evil people, and because he had that information, and I didn't know if it was true or not, I started to assume that perhaps the neighbor of Will, if I assume that my neighbor who's Josh is good. If Josh really is the chef, that means Will is probably is one of the bad people. And it could mean that Will's neighbor is bad because if I believe the chef's information, right? So really interesting as we start to piece it together. But of course, I didn't know if Josh was lying. So, oh man, it's so great to piece it all together. In the end, though, good team won. Took that one down. It was, in fact, Will. And Will did several things I thought were really impressive as far as a bad player to kind of he was talking to me and he would say something that wasn't obvious, but I would say, no, Will, that can't be true. But I realized later he was seeding these tiny bits of misinformation. It was so good. He was very subtle about it. So I realized, I was like, oh, wait, does Will not realize that rule? Or does Will know exactly what that rule is? And he's just trying to play dumb. So it was really good. Blood I played Blood on the Clock Tower, but I also want to talk about a couple other games that I played because I didn't just play that game. It's kind of the ideal con for me because I got a little bit of social deduction, I got a little bit of a comedy show, I got a little bit of prototypes. So prototypes, oh man. So I played games with Smirk and Dagger. Now I had met Kurt Covert before, who runs Smirk and Dagger, but not really connected with him or played a game with him. So I was sitting down with Kurt and I was playing a couple games, and Alex Cutler was there. So Alex says, "Do you want to play one of my new ones that I'm giving to Smirk and Dagger?" I said, "Oh, of course, I would love to play one." And this game, let me tell you, when this game comes out, I think, well, if it's just an instant back for me. I had so much fun playing it. It's called A Place for All My Books. Okay. It's Alex Cutler co-designed it with Mike McKilsick. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But Mike and Alex have been working on this idea where you're an introvert and you love books and and you're trying to organize them in your house. You've got your bedroom, you got your living room, you've got your den or whatever, and you're taking different types of books and you're organizing them. Okay. Seems kind of silly, but it's not. I mean, like, it is and it isn't, right? It's like we all know we like, if you have a hobby like board games or books or whatever, you like it just so, right? So here you are organizing, but you also, like I said, you're introverted and you don't have a lot of social energy to go outside. So you have to spend time inside, organizing to build up energy to go outside into the world, because outside there's a bookstore and a park bench and a library and a toy store. And so you go back outside and then you buy more books or collect more books out of the library and you put them in your backpack, and then you go home and you organize so it has amazing. Alex designed a game called Expansity, which has these private goals. And this one seems to feed into that same idea. There's a private goal system. So it's like, I want a stack of yellow books that's 4 tall, or I want no blue books in the bedroom, or I want 3 toys that are in the den or something. There's all these things to do. It's so puzzly and awesome. I instantly want that game. It was just, and I asked Smirk and Dagger if I could talk about it. I don't know when it's coming out. I don't know even if they're going to call it A Place for All My Books. So I think it's a great title. I hope it comes on Kickstarter. If I get more information from Alex or Kurt, I will share it. I think it was fantastic. In the push and pull of spending social energy outside, like, you could go to the bookstore, but then your energy just drains when other people are like, it's true. I feel like it was so well captured it in a game form that you want to, that you just want to get everything just so. I also played Boom Patrol, which I really liked, which is, I think, coming sooner from Smirk and Dagger by my friend Nicole. Nicole Amato made that game, and it was really fun because you have tanks and you're trying to run over stuff. I mean, it was a different kind of game, right? So you're just like running over different things, but they had, how if you have a spinner and it's attached from the spinner part is attached to the other piece of cardboard with a rivet. Well, this one, the top of the tank was attached with a rivet. So you could really cleverly, they had designed a system where the cards tell you exactly how to move. So if you place a card in front of your tank, it actually gives you the movement of the tank, and then you can turn your turret and shoot at things. It was so much fun. Anyway, Ellie is saying, does A Place for All My Books have any information online anywhere? I don't think so, because I think it's that new. It's an early prototype. So we'll all have to look out for it, I think. Well, Alex Cutler is in the Cardboard Alchemy Discord, so we'll just bug Alex Cutler every once in a while. Like, how's that book game coming? I'm excited by it. In addition to those games, I played another sort of dream game for me, which is on the other side of social deduction, is the heavy Euro crunchy worker placement engine builder just puzzle, which is, I played a game called Galactic Cruise. Now that one I do know is coming out. It's coming out. That's going to Kickstarter on March 4th, and I have not really. I believe it's a first time game coming from Kinzen Games. I played with the designers, and they had been demoing it all day. and they were saying, and I said, "Oh, is there any way you could squeeze one more game in?" And they were going to go to dinner, but they were nice, so nice, and they said, "Sure, we'll play one more, and we'll get dinner after." And they played a full game with me. It was everything I wanted in a game, basically, from a standpoint of so insta back for me as well. So in this game, you're launching cruises out into space. Not the kind of yeah, you're it's like, think of a cruise ship, but you're doing that for space travel, right? So you're a corporation, and you're gonna put cruises out there that have the best. They have like a roller coaster in there, or bungee jumping, or go-karts, or a big, pizza palace, or just like they have all sorts of entertainment, food, adventure, and then you're going to planets and you're doing adventure things. You're going to different planets and taking passengers, and so you have, these types of games are really fun from a simulation versus a game, right? So you have like a publicity department. I mean, it gets all nitty gritty. You have like engineers to build the rockets, and you have to get resources to buy the parts, to build the piece to the things, and you have to go entice the passengers with tickets, and you have to you have to do so much. You have to go get experts. You could hire. So it's one of those games where you could do it so many different things, right? You could focus on, I'm gonna run the best cruises that make money, or I'm going to advertise really well, or I'm going to get scientists that like know how to get the most efficient parts. Oh my God, Galactic Cruise. It's going to go to Kickstarter on March 4th. You have to go check this one out if you like deep, crunchy, heavyweight worker placement games. I do. Now, Andromeda's Edge is a big crunchy game, so it's of that type to me, where it's just so satisfying. You cannot do it all. I it's one of those ones when you sit down, you're blown away. Your mind is like, oh my God, what do I do? Really fascinating choices in there. For example, one of the things, there's 6 worker placement spots, and they have 2 parts to them. And when you go to a worker placement spot, you can do 2 things. You can either repeat something twice, or you can do one of each. Or if you've got knowledge of another nearby worker placement spot, you can use that spot. Or if somebody else has knowledge of a worker placement spot that's nearby, you can use that, but you have to pay them. So you've got bazillions of choices in front of you. You can focus on making sure you have access to all the spots so you don't have to pay people, or you can just you can say, listen, I'm just going to make enough money that I can pay everyone when I want to use their knowledge and their scientists and their team. Plus, it has it's the decision space. Ellie was asking how crunchy is. It's when I say the word crunchy, because I know a lot of people that watch the stream, that's a term sometimes used in gaming. It's satisfying for some people when you are kind of given more than you can possibly do, right? So you're thinking about, okay, so I want to launch this rocket. This rocket doesn't have a destination, so I do have to take a turn to go get a destination. The destination that I'm going to is going to be an orange planet, and it takes 2 fuel. Okay, I don't have any fuel. How am I going to get fuel? Well, there's that action to get fuel. Or I could take this card, and this card gives me fuel, because they had options. The cards are multi-use. So you're starting to go like, all right. So I want to get fuel, but I need to go faster because I'm going too slow to get my fuel. So how will I take actions that are efficient? And this is the kind of game you can't master in one go. It's the kind of game that you could play it again and play it totally different, run another cruise and do it a different way, and publicize that, or so focus a different way. And until you see it, also, I was playing with the designers, so I was expecting to get crushed. Don't ever expect to win your first time at a heavy game either. So I didn't worry about it. I didn't like agonize too much about it. I just tried, I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna try this out. Usually I'm trying a big game like that, try everything once, right? If someone later is playing Andromeda's Edge, try all the things till you understand what the things do. And then you can start to go, all right, I got this now, right? So I focused on building these. Orange was adventure. So I built like an adventure rocket where I had go-karts, paintball, and what was the last thing I had in there? Go-karts, paintball, and something else. I had like a super adventure rocket. So I wanted to get orange passengers who had bought tickets for adventure. And then I wanted to go to places with adventure planets so I could make all the folks have the best time that they could possibly have doing adventure. So It was a lot of fun, and I wanted to shout them out. I might do a segment on here where I shout out crowdfunding games that are coming. Galactic Cruise is coming to Kickstarter on March 4th. That team is a really savvy, smart, uh, genuine group of people, and I wish the best for them. They've got Ian O'Toole doing the art, so it's a gorgeous production, and they are doing a lot of really interesting things. I have heard they're going to have very minimal stretch goals. They're going to put all of it into the game at the start. So it's going to be pretty much what you see is what you get, and it's great. It's just great. Andromeda's Edge, let's talk about Andromeda's Edge now, because I think that's enough talking about Tantrum Con. But I will say that in a future stream, Rosie and I will announce which other conventions that Cardboard Alchemy are going to officially. And also, if I go to more conventions, like if I show up at Dice Tower East, or Rosie's going to, like, for example, Rosie's going to AirCon as a special guest. Rosie and I are both going to UK Games Expo. I'm going to Gamma. So on those types of things, we'll mention it in case anyone else is there. But also when we have sort of a bigger show that we're going to actually have a team presence at, we'll announce those shows as well. But let's talk about Andromeda's Edge for a second, because I have, oh man, there's so many exciting things happening with Andromeda's Edge. So first of all, I'm overdue for an update. So anyone who's watching is like, hey, where's that next update? It's coming. But we are busily working on the files. We had to do a lot of work. We still have a lot of work, but we were trying to go back and forth with the plant before Chinese New Year. As one of the things that always happens is there's a very big break at this time of the year. So we did send in a ton of files in January so that the plant could investigate those files and give us some feedback and everything else. And it's going really well. On that front, so I'll be writing an update about where we stand on the files. Also, we've been doing our last push on plastics, wood, and miniatures. And there's been some miniatures that have just a little tweaking is needed. I want to show you something. So, and I'll share this when I do the update too. But this is the hive. Now, I've shown this before. This is one of the most, this is an awesome mini in Andromeda's Edge. This is one of the bosses that you can fight in Andromeda's Edge. And one of the things that we were, and this is a hornet. And this little hornet, this flies in and attaches to the hive. Okay. And one of the things that was happening is you could see that the connection is, it needs to be loose enough that you can pull it off, but also tight enough that you can get it back in there. Let's see if I can get it in there for a second. It's not going to work. It's hard to do this one-handed. So let me just show you the fit that they've got right now on this hornet. Okay. All right. So I got the hornet in there, and this is one of the things we were working. It's not so mini, right? This is actually one of the biggest things in the game. And I was telling the plant that I want this to be so stable that when it's on the table, the hornets don't fall off. And they were kind of falling off in our second iteration. But I am here to tell you, that's better work for me. The hornets now don't fall out of the hive. And that doesn't seem like maybe a big thing, but it is a big thing. When you get something that, oh, and Chris wants to see the back too. This is all this fun. Can we get the translucency? This like hive, the hive that both Eric Tosco helped model and Sergio envisioned. So what's really neat is it doesn't fall out now. I think the plant has succeeded in getting the hive to where it needs to be. But I'm going to show you another example. So here is a factory. This is a factory in the game. And you can put, now you wouldn't have two different color leaders, but you can put your leaders in the factory. And you can create the smokestacks for the factory, right? And the first iteration of the factory, when you tip it over, it was loose. And so they'd fall out. And I didn't think actually we could fix that. But China has, our manufacturer, Longpack, has said, hey, you know what? We're going to get to that factory. So they're easy to pull out and they don't go anywhere. So fantastic. As Mike says, very satisfying when parts are well made. And we had to go back and forth several times. One last one that I want to show is this one, the spaceport, which we were working on for a while. And when you put leaders in the spaceport, this was difficult. So they were difficult to get in and they didn't stay. Oh, no, that one just fell on me. So that's going to prove me wrong now on that side. Well, let me just try it again. So that one, I might have to go back to them and say just a little tiny bit tighter, but it was too tight before. Okay, so okay, there we go. But the other part about it is that this is a transport, and in Andromeda's Edge, you build something on transports, and what we had here is the transport. When you lock it in, I don't want it to come away. I want it to, so I can move the piece. I want the transport to stay. And so that was the other fix that we just had to make, was it was a little too loose. These are minor gameplay things, right? You can play whether or not this thing locks into the transport and then stays. But come on, we want this thing to be the best connection of all the parts. So Andromeda's Edge is getting its final touches on plastic. It's getting its final touches on paper. And a very exciting, Chris is like, they don't even move in the game, right? So once you plug them in, you don't need to do anything. But it's the minor touches, right? So if I have this building and then I move it, I go, oh no, I meant to put it over, I meant to put it here or something, and it doesn't take the transport with you, then you just have to pick up the transport and put it back down. But the fact is, now it goes and it takes the thing, okay? It's just those tiny, tiny things I wanted them to work right. The other one, which I don't know if I explained this, but this transport, I want to be able to reach across the table. Here, I'll get out the factory again. I want to be able to reach across the table, and without even trying, I want to just put down the building. I just want to put it down and have it work. Okay. And we had to struggle with this for so long because there were like tiny little things about the way the transport was built and tiny little things the way these bases were built that you had to do it from only one. You had to turn it exactly one way. And I was like, no, it has to work no matter which way I slap it down. I want it to go. This is really important. The tiniest things sometimes, right? But anyway, those are the kind of things we're doing. Someone's asking how the washes are looking. The washes are looking fantastic. I think we're locked on I think the washes are there. They look really good on the player ships. They look really good on the raiders. They look really good on the developments. So super excited. And as far as the rules go, so what our last sort of stages are, we're working on some parts of all the boxes are done. Everything's done except for the rules, and the player aids are getting that kind of like once over. And because of that, what we're doing is we're playing some games on TTS, so that we just make sure we've seen every last little frequently asked question type of interaction between cards, because a lot of things, like some questions about the hive, like what happens if you have one hornet that's a player-based hornet and another hornet that's an AI controlled hornet. I mean, there's like things that happen in the game that you have to explain every little nuance. So our appendix is where we're really focusing the final touches. We are in the Matrix, Mike. I did warn you. But it's fun here. We're making games here. So Andromeda's Edge, that's all I wanted to say, is that it's I'm going to do an update soon for everybody so that we can explain where we're at as far as our delivery timeline, because when our plant comes back from Chinese New Year, it's game on for the files. So then we're going to be racing to the end. And Game Trace has gotten in all of their pieces, except for there's like one or two lids that we're still tweaking, but all of the Game Trace system has been designed and redesigned to be more efficient and more awesome. Even a couple days ago, Noah at Game Trace had an epiphany about how to do it better in certain ways. So you're spending so much time on that. And I have a very special surprise. I'm not going to share what it is, but like we had a poll on GameFound about whether you wanted the rules on the inside lid or loose. And I have a fun solution, I think, possibly to get both people happy. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so Andromeda's Edge is going to be in production very soon, and we'll be updating everybody with the progress on that. Okay, so I think I've covered a lot of things. Now we should play Letter Tycoon, right? We want to get into our game. We're behind here. So let's play Letter Tycoon. Now, it's been 2 weeks since our last episode, so I'm going to bring everyone up to speed about Letter Tycoon and what we're doing. It's a game that was designed by co-founder of Cardboard Alchemy, Brad Brooks. And I also helped publish it with my company and Breaking Games, and I co-published it. Brad was the designer. It was my first time publishing a game that wasn't my own game. And it's a game where you're trying to own the alphabet. You spell words and you buy the letters. And if somebody else uses your letter, you make money. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most money and stocks and patents wins. Who is the Letter Tycoon? And we're playing it on this stream in two different ways. You can either play on the orange team and play right now, because we're going to play a word for the orange team, or when you see this on YouTube, and you could play for the green team, the away team, and basically help come up with words in the comments. And both teams can win copies of Letter Tycoon. In fact, before we start playing, I want to call out the winners for January, because we're going to pick winners every month. If you have participated at all, your word doesn't have to get picked. If you've just shouted out words, either on the orange team or the green team, you can win. So let's see what Rosie has. Rosie had the winners. Okay, so was I don't know if I have the green or orange here, but I'll just say the winner and Rosie can tell me. But we have Axel. Axel has won for, is that the orange team, Rosie, or green?
Yeah, orange team live.
Orange team. So so thank you, Axel, for shouting out words during our orange team. You have won a copy of Letter Tycoon. The new edition of Letter Tycoon is actually coming on Breaking Games' website in February. It might even be next week that it's out. But we're going to send one to you, Axel, for playing. Thank you so much for playing. And someone else can win this month. Now, for the green team, Michelle Hansen is the winner. We've picked from among all the comments on our YouTube over the weeks of our live streams here. Thank you, Michelle, for shouting out some words. And you have won a copy of Letter Tycoon. So we will post an email in our video for this video of how to reach out and say, hey, I'm one of the winners of Letter Tycoon, and we'll follow up with you and get you a copy. Now let's give other people a chance to win Letter Tycoon, because it's awesome, and we want you to have it to play, because it's really great to play with family, friends. So how are we doing in Letter Tycoon? Well, let's talk about the orange team and the green team here. So we have right now a score of, it looks like 14 to 18, although I will point out that all of your coins and your stock count. So if you look at it a little bit closer, the green team has 18 and has 2 stocks, so they have a score of 20. And the orange team has 14 with 4 coins in the bank, so they also have 18, and then they have 6 stocks, so actually they have 24. So the orange team is slightly ahead right now. Not that it matters. It's all, the points don't matter per se. We're just having fun on the internet. But the trigger of the game, let's see if I have the, I don't have it right now on me, but in a 2-player game, the trigger is when somebody owns 45 worth of patents in front of them. So we still have some game to go here. And that's, so your coins and stock don't count against your they count at the end, but they don't actually count to the score that triggers. So green might trigger it first, but as you can see, orange definitely has a good score right now. So it's anybody's game still. Let me take this out and explain what happened in our last episode. The orange team formed the word inhalers, which was a fun word, and we made a virtual S, because we have the Z patent, and when you own the Z, you can make a faux S at the end of your word. So using that power, formed the word inhalers and bought the A. So if the green team uses the A now, uses either the A, the D, or the Z, green team will owe $1. But in making that word, the orange team did use the E, which was owned by the green team, and paid them $1. And we'll see what that led them do. So now let's go and see what the green team did. Well, the green team has a V patent, which allows you to make 2 words. So they formed the words wax and tipsy. And fun fact, in the comments, even the designer of the game started forming words with letters that weren't there, and everyone got carried away and thought that there was an L, but there wasn't. So I went back to a green comment where someone had formed the word tipsy, and I took wax from another comment, and which kind of like brought those together. So I used the spirit of what green wanted to do and formed 2 words here. That paid out, it paid out $1 for wax. It paid out $3 for tipsy. And with the $2 they had, green was able to buy the S. So green now owns the S. But if you'll notice, the A is in there, and that means that orange got paid out a coin because the A was used by the green team. So with all that being said, let's go into our patent screen. So you can see now that the A and the D and the Z are owned by orange, and green has the V, the S, and the E. So that's the state of the board here. All right, let's go into orange's word. Let's play some letters again. So orange had kept an O, so we're going to deal out cards to the orange hand, but green had used all of the community letters except for the F. So we're going to deal out new community letters first. So there is an H and an N. So the community letters is something we can use on the orange team. Now we're going to deal out our hand. We got another vowel. We got the B, which happens to have a power. We have an E, which if we use it, will owe $1 to the green team. We have L, which is a letter that the green team thought they had but didn't. And there's an A, and there's a T. And away we go into our comment section. If you see something, if you see a word, I'll start to move the letters around and we can start talking about what you want to call something belated. There's not two E's. What are we going to make here? We can only make one word. We want to make the longest word we can. Tablet. I see the word tablet. We can make the word tablet. Tablet's not possible because we don't have another T. So we can't do that. We can form table.
Gibbon Tessie says biathlon.
Biathlon. Oh, there's a word. Look at that. Holy cow. Biathlon.
I can't even say that word, let alone spell it.
Is there supposed to be oh, there is an H. Wow. Holy, that's a great word. Athlon? You're gonna have to forgive me because I'm not a good speller. Biathlon. Okay, gotcha. I gotcha. Here we go. I'm gonna get there. Wow. Look at that word. Biathlon's a tough word to beat right there. That's pretty good. And we're also, look at that, not using the E either. Ellie's comment. So close to being able to spell summon Cthulhu. We could also add an S. That's a very good point. We have the power to add an S. So actually, biathlons. So does it feel like there should be a vowel in between the TH and the L? See, that's why I would never think of this word, because I'd be like, there has to be a biathlon. Shouldn't there be like an A in there, right? But no.
How many sports are in a biathlon? 2?
2? I would hope it's 2. Otherwise, we got this by happening.
There could be more than one of those. That's easy.
What was that?
There could be more than one of those. That's easy.
I'm going to form some other words since people are throwing out some other words just for fun here. But biathlon, we'll keep that in mind. I also hear about inflate, which is good. The other thing that you got to keep in mind is that you want to use the letters that form a word. You want to make a word using a letter you want to buy, right? So the other question the orange team has to ask themselves is, what do they want to buy, right? E is not buyable. A is not buyable. So if we're going to form a word like inflate, are we trying to buy the T or something? And the money that, let's go back to our money. Right now, take that off too. Right now, orange has 4 coins at play. So if we make a word like inflate, or let's go back to biathlon. Basically, we're going to want to look at like how much it's going to add. So a 7-letter word would add $6. We'd have $10. We'd have plenty to buy whatever we want. Also, we'd have plenty with biathlon as well. Now, the B patent is available. So let's talk about that for a second, because that's one of our options. Instead of buying a big letter, like, so I is a $7 letter. That's pretty good. A, we already own. T is an $8 letter. That's pretty good, right? The other option is you can buy something like the B, which has a power on it, and B's power. Oh boy, remind me about the B's power, Brad. It is because we changed it a couple times when we were making this game. It is that you can. It's not that you can spell it forwards and backwards, is it? No, it's not that. Mike would know. Come on, Mike. Mike or Brad has to help me out with what the B power is while I don't have my rules in front of me. Shame on me. We changed it sometimes in the game, so my memory is bad right now. Let's see if we get... Brad types in Feb biathlon, a biathlon held in February. No, we're going to call that one challenged. But yeah, Mike's going to check the rules on our B power. And we've printed the powers on the back of the rulebook, so it makes it really easy when you have the rulebook handy, unlike myself right now. Oh, wait a second. Maybe I do have the rules around here handy. Okay, I found the rules. Sorry, Mike. I've beat you to the rules. The B power is that you earn double if your word begins and ends with vowels. And Brad has also just jumped in with that exact thing. So if we wanted to buy the B, what we would have is if we formed future words, we would try and begin and end like, athlete or whatever, we would end with a vowel as well. So if you get begin and end with vowels, you're going to double your word score. So that is the two options we happen to have. We have the ability to go for a big letter like the T, the I, if we want to own more vowels and try and constrain the green team to like not be able to use vowels. Or we could go for a power and try and then spell words that are going to be bookended in vowels. So far I'm going to spell out more words just because we're having fun with words here. So I heard lifeboat as well. Lifeboat is a fun word. I mean, that's also good. And then lifeboat is we could add an S to that one too. It's lifeboats, right? So I believe those are equal to us, but if you were to take both of those choices, this one doesn't use the E, or lifeboat uses the E. Biathlons does not use the E. Oh, this is a great word though. Ellie, fishboat. Is that a word? Is that a thing? Fishboat? Well, we don't have an S. There's no S in there. We can use an S at the end. We don't have an S in the middle. So no fishboats. Okay. So our choices then for the group, if we're forming the word biathlon, and if you play on the green team, you can still vote for the orange team. You can play both sides to try and win a copy of Letter Tycoon either way. So you can put in your vote here. If we are going with biathlons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 letter word, and leaving the E and the F out, our choices, I think, of what to buy are going to be the best choices are going to be either this T, this I, or this B, right? Because we're going for power, or I mean, the N is also a sub. So if we want a consonant, the T is the best because it's a $8 purchase. So I think we're going for like B, I, or T. I'm hearing some votes for B, but also some votes for vowel. We're going to need a tiebreak. So if you would like to buy that I for a vowel, shout it out. Or if you want to go with a consonant like T, or if you want to go for a power and get that B. So I see at least 2 votes for I, but I see 3 votes for B.
There's a lot of B's.
4, yeah, I think B is winning. So the orange team has decided we are about powers here. So I'm going to write this down. Biathlons. So it's a 9-letter word with that virtual S, which what that means is we earn $6 because of once it's 7 letters, you earn $6, and then every extra letter is a stock. So 7, 8, 9 is 3 more stock. So $6 and 3 stock. And we're buying the B, which is only going to cost us $2. So when we got the $6, it added to our total of 4. So we had $10. So we're going to spend 2 of our $10. We're still going to have $8 to spend on whatever we want next time. But let's not rule the green team out. If you're playing for green, you want to play offline while we're waiting for next week's stream. Let's see what happens with the green team. So come over here. This was the FHN was the previous board, and K was in our hand. It's the only letter left in our hand. And so the H and the N were just used up, but the F was left. So we're going to take the H and the N out, and we're going to deal out new letters to the community. So we get an A, and we're going to get a B is dealt out to the community letters. Very interesting, because if you use that B on the green team now, orange will make money. Also, if green team uses the A, so this is a very dangerous field. Let's see what green team gets dealt in their hand. You can take all week to plan out your 1 or 2 words. You got dealt an I, a D, a T, an M, a C, and an E. So there's green team's hand. There's the community board, and we'll see you next week to find out what happened. But if you want to play along and possibly win Letter Tycoon, then please jump in during the comment section and throw out some words. And the green team owns the V, so you can throw out 2 different combinations of words. Use all the letters you can if you want. Whether or not that's a good idea to keep using the letters that orange owns is to be determined. So that's that. And I'm going to come back to our main video. But before we do, I had one component thing to share for Critter Kitchen, but we'll save that for next week. So let's do questions, and let's get back to what everybody wants to talk about. I mean, we are talking about, if you're watching this live, we're talking about a Friday. We're talking about a gaming weekend, potentially. I know what I'm going to play this weekend. I'm going to play Andromeda's Edge on TTS. So if you're in our Discord and you want to talk to me about that, we're going to play a lot. I'm going to play a lot of Andromeda's Edge this weekend. I'm going to play with the designers, and we're going to try and find more little nuances to cover in the rule books for you. But what else? Everybody else going to play? I'd love to hear what you're playing. Mike Vanderbeek is pointing out that the green team could have discarded the K. I decided to keep it because of the fact that I was running really tight on time, and because the green team threw out lots of words with an L, and there was no L, and that meant I had to make last-minute decisions, including not having enough time to make comments on the wall and say, do you want to keep the K or not? So the K became something that was stuck, but that's okay. I'm sure the green team is going to figure out a way to use it or something. Anyway, if you're going to suggest words, do double check that all the letters are in those words. It makes it easier on me. I just saw, let's see, we got games. TTR Europe tonight. Very nice. I love Ticket to Ride. Villainous. Oh man, Villainous. There's so many expansion characters for Villainous. I'm so behind in my Villainous playing. I haven't played since the beginning of Villainous. And Spirit Island, one of the most highly regarded tough games out there. Cooperative and very tough. Kinfire Chronicles, I don't know. That's an interesting one. Dune Imperium, fantastic. And also the Great British Bake Off is fantastic. I just watched a lot of those episodes with my son. We were having a good time watching. Now we're going to go back. So I'm a little bit behind on the Great British Bake Off, and I'm going to go back and watch the Kim Joy season because I never saw it, and I'm just excited to see how that goes. But I think I watched the latest season. Now we're hearing other game ideas. Fracture Sky. Okay, very cool. Rosie, by the way, we should hear from Rosie about how she thought Andromeda's Edge. I mean, the first time playing Andromeda's Edge.
I did, yes. It was really fun. If only I was better at TTS.
It does make it a little harder to experience a game for the first time in sort of a digital. Let me see this part of the board. Like, for example, if I was talking about Galactic Cruise, if I was seeing Galactic Cruise for the first time, I was like, wait, I'm over here and I'm looking at the rockets over here, and it's harder for sure, you know.
No, it was really fun. I really like it. I played 2 different kinds of dragon, which is great.
Yeah, we let Rosie play the Astrodracus and the Dracarian Flame Keepers. So 2 different kinds of dragons in a sci-fi game is something else.
And I came last in my first game and first in my second game. Woo.
It took you a minute, but now you're gonna mop the floor with us now. Now that you understand how to do it. Yeah, I played so far my win record on Andromeda's Edge is not doing well this week. I lost with the Cloud people. That was sad for them, but I love their power. It's so good. The Nebula and Cloud people get to drift their ships the distance. Oh my god, so good. But they're tough. You gotta stay focused because boy, you get entranced by the nebula and drifting amongst the clouds. So I lost as them. Then I played the Plutonian Empire, and I was convinced the Plutonians were gonna do it. I built this doomsday device, and it worked. Then I lost. I don't know what happened. And then I played the Elders of Dwellinon, and the prophecy was telling us that we were going to get these great civilization modules to add to our space station, and then they didn't happen. Why? So I love. There's so many great factions to play. Ellie has a great question, which is, I know the TTS is going to be updated for Andromeda's Edge. Do you also plan to add updates for the solo TTS mod? And the answer is yes. As soon as we get the rulebook files all tightened up, we are going to put out new versions of the TTS for everyone to play. That includes the solo, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, we can't wait to do that because their solo has 9 different levels of commanders, which is going to be really fun. Now, not everything is going to be in each of the TTSs. There's actually something that happened on the campaign where we asked backers to share a gameplay, and if you shared gameplay to earn a social goal, then we're going to give those people a special role in the Discord, and that role may include a TTS with 1 or 2 more things in it. But the TTS that we put out there is going to be pretty good. We're just going to have a little bonus thing for those who jumped in our social goals, because we love when people help us push campaigns to the top, to the best they could be. Rosie should brag about her last weekend game day. If you're in our Discord, there's a great so while I was talking about Tantrum Con and I had a great day, Rosie threw a great game day as well.
I had a party, and the last live stream, I talked all about my plans for it, and it went really well. And my mum and 2 people who play Oath a lot and Root a lot played Flamecraft.
Oh
And
wow.
had a great time.
You had a game of Flamecraft with like people who play Oath and Root, and then your mom, I'm guessing, is because you listed her separately. She's not one of the Root or Oath game players.
Unsurprisingly, this was the most complex game she's ever played. So
Okay.
she did really well, and she just collected resources. I think she did 1 enchantment entire time.
Nice.
But
So your mom tried Flamecraft, and
yeah.
this was. I'm so glad that Flamecraft exists as that game that people can find accessible, jump in and play with some people.
Yeah, it was a real mixed group, and I think it was fun to watch 5 people, because there was 5 people there, play it in their own ways. And the people who were heavy gamers, which I consider when it comes to Root and Oath, were just finding all the ways to pick cards, and they were asking all the little tiny rules questions that you would. They had Gold Rush, and they were working it all out.
Yeah.
And then there's my mum going, I'm just going to collect the pretty resources.
Your mom plays it maybe the most fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love part of the thing that happens to me in Andromeda's Edge is I love combos. there's this I don't remember the name of it, but there's like a guide one time that was put out about the types of Magic the Gathering players. There was like a matrix of types of gamers, right? There are the players that play for the win, right? So the players who scan the board and they say, okay, so if I do that, that, and that, I'm gonna get to the end goal and I will have the win. That's what I want. It's like how their joy gets created. Then there's another type of player that says, I want to crush people, right? So I want to dominate the board, or I want to make sure that you can't get your things, right? So there's a person who just, they love that part of games, right? There's another type of person that I think was a quadrant of 4. There might be further studies that have done like other quadrants, but there was another quadrant that said you win when you do combos. So it's not about the winning, it's not about crushing people, it's about seeing the pieces come together, right? That's the biggest joy in a game is I don't care if I lose. If I see this epic move happen, I'm fine, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the last type of fun is generated by people who like to try things, random things, chaotic things, wacky plays. So I find myself in the bottom 2 category, right? I like combos and I like to try weird stuff. I like to see things happen. I don't care about the win as much as I care about having fun. So what that means to me in Andromeda's Edge, though, is I don't, as the Nebula and Cloud people, I go, ooh, if I get that moon and that moon and that moon, I'll build something I've never done before and this can be great. And then I go, oh yeah, I lost, but whatever. I had fun. Sometimes Flamecraft is an interesting balance because I've seen people on our Discord play it not for the win, but just to see every shop or just to do a power that they haven't ever pulled off before, right?
Or collect every dragon.
Yeah, collect every dragon. The thing that I did last night, I was playing Axel in Andromeda's Edge. I was trying to stay competitive, believe me, but my dice rolling was a little bit poor. I had the Elders of Dwellna did not have very powerful ships. So, but I did a combo I've never done before, and I was super happy about it. When you have the Metamorphosis modules, which are a bonus module that you could get in the campaign. If you went all in, they were included, but also they were something you could add on, which is a module type that we didn't want to include in the base game because they're pretty weird. They can be any color, and you can attach them anywhere you want in your ship. So they're wilds. And Chris Strain did a beautiful job on the Metamorphosis modules by making all these little alien tentacles, and of course they're purple modules, so that's another reason to want them. So I grabbed a purple module and I stuck it in my science row. Science row automatically activates. When you activate the first row, it just activates every single module. It's pretty cool. But also, because the Metamorphosis modules they could be anything, they could also be industry, they include these half moon slots. And if you put 2 Metamorphosis modules together, they create a full moon slot. And normally in science, you don't have a full moon slot at all. So people who have not played a drama are like, what are you even talking about? But to me, I had not put 2 non-science Metamorphosis modules together in the science row before, and I was like, look at that! I can slot a moon in here and get more resources every time I run my science row. And then Axel destroyed me. But whatever. It was fine. I still had... he also had a fighter who was playing the Space Pirates, and the Space Pirates have a fighter called Night Flag, and Night Flag can use your engine. Not the science part, though. Yeah, I kept my science away from Night Flag. Mike Vanderveen points out another game that has these combo-tastic things, which is Lost Ruins of Arnak, a game that I really love also because they only give you 2 workers and you have very limited resources, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, this is not enough workers for a worker placement game. I can't do it all. But actually, all the puzzle pieces are there. If you put a worker, sometimes it will get you just enough for a card. That card will give you enough to buy, like that one might be an artifact, and that artifact clears a worker. Or you spend that one resource to go up the research track. That research track gives you one more resource. You use that resource to get the last thing you needed. to send your second worker, which then pulls back the first worker. There's stuff in there that when you see the combos, you're just so satisfied by that game. So yes, the longer you can stretch your turns in that game, the better. That is one of the things about that game. So it makes me want to play. We should get a Lost Ruins of Arnak game on Board Game Arena. One of the fun places you can play it. Flamecraft, bring it to your game night, and well, I don't know about bully your friends into playing, but maybe just encourage them that it's it's great. All right. Well, because of our technical difficulties, I know I started late. Because we're glitching in the Matrix, I got to go before the agents find me. But if anyone else has any other questions, if we didn't cover your question in this stream, you can type in the comments. Of course, you could be answering your Letter Tycoon word, but you can also type in the comments something that you want me to answer in a future stream. We'll be back every Friday, or whenever you watch these. We'll be back with episodes to regularly cover how we're doing with Andromeda's Edge and Critter Kitchen and new things to talk about for Flamecraft as well. All right. People are already in the chat now talking about playing on Board Game Arena, so I've done what I needed to do here, which is start games happening. Thank you all for joining me, and have a great weekend. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.